Welcome to Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio coverage of the 2018 Nonprofit Technology Conference. The hashtag is 18NTC. We're in the Convention Center in New Orleans. And this interview, like all at NTC, is sponsored by Network for Good, easy-to-use donor management and fundraising software for nonprofits. My guests now are Rachel Kottler, Taylor Dankmyer, and Sandi Fox. Rachel, seated closest to me, is Digital Account Manager at Upland, Maska, Neill Co. Taylor is Mobile Strategist at Upland Mobile Messaging. I said it right. I wasn't sure I would, but I did. And so I have to pat myself. And Sandi Fox is Founder and Principal Consultant for Smart as a Fox, LLC. Rachel, Taylor, Sandi, welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you. I'm glad you're here too. And your workshop topic is raised how much with SMS? Mobile programs. Let's start down there with Sandi Fox.
Yeah.
Give us some motivation why mobile should be part of our fundraising plan.
Mobile should be part of your full integrated digital strategy. It should be part of fundraising. It should be part of your advocacy. It should be part of your engagement with your supporters, period.
And why? That's the conclusion.
Well, no, I'm correcting you first.
What did I say?
You said for fundraising
your
only.
Fundraising plan. Oh, yes. Okay.
I'm saying it should be a part of your full digital strategy, to be integrated into everything you do, and that is because...
Move your mic up just a touch.
Okay,
there.
Better?
That's a little better, yes.
And that is because everyone is on mobile. You want to meet people where they are, and 95% of Americans have a mobile phone. 77% of Americans have a smartphone. And so when you are texting them, they are more likely to read your message and see it and respond and engage with you as an organization. And really feel like they are a part of that organization as well.
Okay. Part of your total engagement strategy.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you for that. Yeah, I'm the remedial student of the group, so you need to bring me along.
Yeah.
Okay? But
happy to do so.
I'll do my best to hold up the... yeah. Or don't be quite so willing. Okay. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Let's jump right in. We know that open rates are very high. Right? Open rates are, they are?
Yes. No, they are, but what I like to say is I don't like using the term open rate, because when you think of open rate, you think of email, which is something that you can actually track. So you can say this many people opened an email out of the people you sent it to.
Yes.
Whereas you can't technically track how many people see your text message, but we know from studies that the majority of folks who get a text message actually do read it.
Okay, and Rachel, don't they open them very, very quickly too?
Yeah, most people open their text messages within 2 minutes of receiving it.
Okay.
And if you think about it, most people get an anxious feeling if they see in their phone they have text messages that they haven't read yet.
Yeah.
So that's why when we talk about open rates, we're talking about the fact people actually are opening the text messages and seeing it, whereas email, I mass click delete at this point. I mean, there are just so many emails coming in every minute.
Okay. Email does still have some credibility, though.
Oh, yes.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
By far.
Okay.
Your heart rate actually goes up when you receive a text message. There's a real study behind that.
Physiological change?
Yes.
In the body?
Yes.
When you receive a text message?
That's why she mentions she kind of gets a little anxious.
Until you have
you get excited.
Until you have read it, there's a physiological change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Cool. Taylor, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. I asked this of another group we were just, a couple of sessions ago. We were talking about SMS. And I said, surely there's going to be another technology sometime down the road. I don't know if it's under development now. It may very well, may not be. But there will be something that'll be more urgent than SMS and will end up trumping SMS. Doesn't that seem inevitable?
Maybe. I mean, I think people have been thinking that SMS was going to go away at some point, and that still hasn't happened.
No, clearly hasn't.
Similar to
happened.
radio, the platform we're on right now. People think radio is going to die. Radio is not going anywhere. It's just kind of adapted over time.
And we're also a podcast, by the way.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, this is back to the point.
We're multi-channel, but
so
radio's in the name.
Yes.
I'm not challenging.
Yeah, it's still an audio medium, right?
Yeah,
so audio focused.
And we do have AM, FM affiliate stations.
Exactly.
It's just,
No, I got you. So that's kind of, So I think
I'm quibbling. Why,
Oth-
am I
other-
being combative with everybody? Am I doing that? Have I done that to all three of you? I know I
Not
did it to
me.
Sandy and Taylor. I didn't do it to you because you're sitting close, I guess. You got the okay. Okay.
So,
I'm not combative.
but to go back to your question,
I don't mean
I
to
wasn't.
anyway.
I wasn't trying to trash radio. I actually used to. I was.
no, you
I was an
really-
intern. I was an intern. I did some school and
No, you
stuff
were-
in
you were
high
shouting
school
out
on
radio.
NPR.
It's,
So
it's got a yes. Your NPR. No,
Love radio.
Radio is a very personal thing.
yes.
I don't think.
So is
I don't-
SMS.
I don't think AM FM is going anywhere.
Exactly.
In fact, we're finding ways to engage with it even more in our connected
Exactly.
cars.
And so I think that's kind of what we're seeing with
And so is
messaging.
SMS.
We talked about different ways that people are using text messaging, different messaging tools. So now we've got, Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and all these tools that are used. What we consider quote unquote over the top messaging. So over the top of what? I guess SMS. But those tools are continuing to develop. They're not as ubiquitous as SMS. SMS is a standard that is on everybody's
Comes with the phone.
phones.
We don't have to
exactly.
download WhatsApp.
The SMS 2.0 will be RCS, Rich Communication Services.
Someone talked about Rich
It hasn't.
RCS.
It's still in development. It requires the carriers to basically approve it, so it's very slow. But once it comes around, it will sort of be a new age SMS. It'll have a lot of new features to it. So yeah, it's definitely not going anywhere. I don't know if there's anything there's no thing that's going to replace it. But if it is, it's different messaging tools. And RCS, if that actually becomes a thing, which it will.
And,
All right,
and
awesome. That
there
was
will-
very articulate.
There
Thank
will
you.
always be early adapters to something new, but it'll take a long time for folks to catch up to it.
Yep.
So, for instance, like I said, we have 95% of folks have a cell phone, but only 77% of folks have a smartphone. So we know that there's that gap right there, right, between that 95 and 77%.
Yes. And you need to be sensitive to that too, in
Yeah.
terms of not always
They
providing a
can't-
link to click.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Which is why we tell folks sometimes a really great way to engage your audience is to ask them to respond and take action within the text messaging platform. So text sign and then give us your zip code so you can sign this petition. That's why phone calls are so successful through mobile devices and texting is because you're always already on that platform. We ask you to text call and all of a sudden you're calling your senator.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Yeah, Rachel, go ahead.
to bring it back into fundraising, if you think about it, I remember maybe 5 years ago, my father, who's the target donor age, he refused to text with me. He just wanted to email me, and now he texts me every day. We have a family chat we're on. We get pictures, see baby pictures, everything like that. And so, your donors are now using text, getting more comfortable on their phones.
And to add a stat to that, every year over the last 3 years, it's increased by 40% the number of people who have given via their mobile devices. So the last 3 years, 40%, 40%,
40% over
40%.
year after year.
Year after year.
Year over year.
And my father is one of those folks too, who now is on a text thread. Used to take a picture of an article and send it to me. And he very, very cautious of identity theft. But I think he's getting to a point where he would give on his mobile device.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Taylor, let's talk about some of the goals. We've talked around them a little bit, but what aside from fundraising, what else can we do with SMS?
Yeah, going back to what Sandy was saying, actually it's kind of new that we started talking about fundraising over SMS. People didn't directly think of building an SMS program 5-10 years ago just about fundraising. It didn't seem to make sense. People were afraid they weren't going to donate over text. That's starting to change for sure now. We talk about how people are comfortable with it. So most of our customers were just engaging like they are in all their other channels. So they're educating them. They're asking them to make calls. They're sending them videos. They're asking for their supporters to send in content or pictures of maybe them at an event, and also grabbing lots of information. I mean, in some ways, when we first started doing this, it was essentially let's have people text in when they're at an event and let's grab their emails and names, because one, collecting hundreds of people's names at an event on paper is terrible and awful for everyone involved. But also, this is just much easier for organizations to handle, and we know that they're going to, once they text in, it's very likely they're going to quickly respond. They're used to having a conversation over text, So the more we can make it conversational, like it is with their family and their friends, the better off we are. And because of those open rates and response rates, you can collect a lot of information very quickly. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
And if you think about it, breaking news alerts, people are looking at their phones right away and their text messages. I mean, already today we all got like 3 texts from different organizations about Paul Ryan announcing that he's not running again.
Oh,
Yep.
I've been doing interviews. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's not running.
Well, Ryan is not. Oh, wow.
I found out from
breaking
Neill
news.
and Emily's list.
You heard it here
immediately.
first.
Heard it here first. Yes. Okay. Well, now by the time this airs, it'll be old. It'll be 6-week-old news.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
But I'm intrigued. Okay. Very interesting. Part of your workshop was spent talking about human rights campaign, and they did very, very successfully. Who's the? Nobody's from HRC here. Who wants to talk about why they're a model to follow? Who's
So
best?
I can
Rachel?
talk about that. So
Okay.
I've been working with HRC for about 3.5 years now on their email and mobile fundraising and advocacy programs. Drew from HRC was on the panel with us. and
Why isn't Drew here?
He's too cool.
No,
Yeah.
that's not the reason.
It's so true. He's very cool.
He's very busy.
No, Prop Radio
He's
is
an
cool.
important man.
All right.
Well, I'm
He's a big,
shout out
okay.
to Drew.
All right.
He's awesome. He is the person you get the text from for HRC. I would say part of the reason that their mobile program is so good is because they've actually been around a lot longer than other organizations. They were an early adopter of
Okay.
mobile, and they've been able to really invest in it and try new things, do testing, segment their list, use it for calling Congress, use it to raise money, use it especially around some Supreme Court decisions as a way to both engage and grow supporters, and also to tell people breaking news and get them to donate and become members.
All right. So they've using it robustly, using it for a lot of different purposes. What specifically can our listeners in small and mid-sized shops, who are all very cool, by the way, our listeners are cool and the show is cool.
Totally.
I don't know about this guy Drew. I don't know him, so I'm not going to say anything. It's his life. I mean, he chose not to. It's his life. That's
He's
just
the better answer is he's busy.
Leave
He's a
it
very
there.
important guy.
Okay.
You know.
What can our listeners take away from HRC, aside from they lots of wide goals, or lots of different diverse goals with it? What else can we take away?
I would say first takeaway, if you're trying to start from scratch, start adding a mobile field collection to any petitions and forms you do online. That's how HRC first started to collect numbers and grow their list, and add a spot for it on your website so you can get started. And second, if you're doing mail and you have people's mobile numbers, start integrating. If you're sending an email and you have mobile, send a text with the email, send a text with the mailing. That way it's a quick little reminder for somebody, and it'll help with your multi-channel strategies.
Okay. What are these solicitation or not solicitation? To try to grow the list. Where do you put these fields? What are these?
Where do
are
the call to actions
What are the
go?
fields that you're asking people to fill out in order to opt in? Is it just phone number? And
Yeah.
and a check that I'm willing to accept texts and
Yeah. You don't even
standard
need a,
message
you don't
rates
even
may
need
apply?
to
Is it just
include.
that-
Yeah, you don't even need to include a check because everyone has a standard email opt-in. You just add the mobile opt-in language with it to any of your forms for an action, for just to get on your email list. You just include the mobile opt-in number, and if they give you their mobile number, they're on your
They're in.
list.
As long as you have
Yeah.
the compliance language at the bottom of the form,
That's
you're
it.
you're pretty much good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do we grow that list over time? What are some good growth strategies? Who wants to go?
take it?
Taylor, you go. Taylor.
Well, I'll definitely want to ask Sandi. She's run these programs at a higher level than I have. But with SMS, it requires a lot of promotion off the bat, like anything else. And if you're starting from scratch or from a small list, you really do need to do a lot of work to get that going. I guess my rule of thumb is you really need to promote it everywhere. Your best bet is adding them to web forms. So we just talked about that.
Yep,
You've got all
Rachel
these
said.
existing
Okay.
forms. Just add a field to those, and hopefully people will provide their numbers, and you can start texting them. The other place that it could work, though, is really everywhere else. So you've got a huge list on emails, most likely. You may have a very large audience on Facebook. Building graphics that say text, HRC to 30644, or text marriage to 30644 to, send us your reaction or your story or something like that. So really, you've got to promote it everywhere, because unlike, say, maybe Facebook or like your website, I can go find those on the web if I'm looking for what your organization does.
Yeah.
To find your text message list, I really need to do some more work. So adding it to that form, having graphics on your social media, promoting those, maybe putting some money into it.
Yeah.
But then also specifically, when you're having people join the list, you want to give them a reason why you're joining. You might ask for emails and people understand, oh yeah, they want my email because they want to reach out to me. With mobile, it's great if you can specifically say, hey, text in for this specific thing. So whether that's a free item, some kind of gimmick, or if it's, text in to tell us how you're feeling about this marriage equality decision or something like that. So making it really specific and people seeing the value right off the bat is really important. Otherwise, they're like, well, why do I want to get text from you? Like, what's the value?
Yeah,
so you want to provide value immediately.
Okay. Sandi, do you have more to add?
Yeah, definitely. So I worked at Planned Parenthood for 3 years and built their mobile program from the ground up. They already had a decent number of mobile numbers because Planned Parenthood, and they'd already had mobile on some of their forms. So they had already had some opt-ins, but they didn't have an engaged list. And within the first month of me being there, it was June, and a Supreme Court decision came down that was not a positive one for the reproductive rights movement. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg gave a scathing dissent. And part of our strategy, we had obviously planned for whatever result would come in, and if we lost, we wanted people to sign on to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's dissent. So we put on all of our graphics, all of our banners on Facebook, Twitter, to text dissent to our short code. And we got a ton of new opt-ins just from that. So really what Taylor was saying is true. Just making sure you include a text opt-in in a lot of your visual graphics on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter. Also, utilizing your actions that you already are doing. So really just integrating that in. And then taking advantage of events. We've seen a lot of activists getting out there and going to these large-scale marches and rallies. If someone from your organization is speaking at one of these rallies, make sure that in their speech, at some point, they say, hey, everyone pull out your cell phone. I want you to do this right now. I want you to text the word join or march to 69866 or whatever the short code is, and say, I'll wait for you to do it, and have them do that. It really, the march that we had, the Women's March back when Trump first took office, the Women's March group got so many text opt-ins from that one event. They had millions of numbers that they could reactivate for different actions throughout the year. So it really, you need to take advantage of those moments, be it a Supreme Court decision, be it a rally or an event, and just utilize it.
How about some of the, maybe we'll come back to best practices if we still have some time, but I want to spend a little time on the technology, the platform.
Yeah.
How do we do this? Rachel, we haven't heard from you in a few minutes. How do we do this back end if we don't currently have it? What are we looking for? What are we searching for? What kind of technology do we need?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different companies or vendors you can use that have these programs. So you just need a budget that you can put towards it and to choose the right vendor for whatever your situation is.
What are you searching for? What search terms do I use to try to find the right vendors?
Mobile texting. That's it. Just
okay.
Usually a decent number will come up. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a really easy one. If you just type in Upland Mobile Messaging into Google, that'll come up. Sorry, that was just my shameless plug. I'm sorry.
Yes, you didn't really need to call it out as such.
And honestly, most of us have used Mobile Commons Upland Messaging for all of the work that we've done with other organizations. So there's a reason folks use them. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course there are other vendors out there. There are different price points depending on your list size. The more numbers you have, the more people you want to text, the more it's going to cost. The more calls to Congress you want to do, that's more expensive than texting. If you want to send a multimedia message, MMS, that's more expensive than just a text with words. So it's all a question of budget and figuring out what makes sense for your nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the technology is pretty easy to figure out. I mean, you have to have the budget.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's overnight, but
think of it as like any email platform. It's very similar to an email platform. Only you're doing like 160 characters instead of putting together a full email, and you're segmenting your list, and it's a very similar. If you're pretty good at learning an email platform, you're going to be. It'll be easy for you to learn a mobile platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Then let's go back to some more best practices, since
Yeah.
we still have. We
Yeah.
got like 6 or 7 minutes together. So
Okay, I can
some
give-
things we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
can give a fun example that HRC did this past summer.
Please do.
We knew there was a big march coming up in DC during Pride Month. So we knew a lot of people wouldn't be able to physically get there. So we decided, what if we do a virtual Pride March to go with the physical march and Pride Month, and have people have to text in to have their name added to a scroll. So we promoted it on email, we promoted it on Facebook, on Twitter, pretty much all over the place. And then we asked people who did it to promote it more. And if people like seeing their name, you had to text in to get your name added, so people could see their name, instant gratification.
People love to be shouted out.
Yeah.
I send live listener love, nonprofit radio. I do like city and state, and people say, love it. We have what the heck else do I do? Oh, listeners of the week. Listener of the week. I mean,
Yeah.
people like to
Yeah, they
see
like
their
to see
name
it, yeah.
or hear it. It's amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah, and HRC was actually able to grow their list by over 10,000 people from that one action. So, I mean, be creative with it. Yes, add it to your forums. If you have an event, ask people to do it. Even our session, we started off by asking people to text SMS to 662266 to rate how experienced they were with it, and then we had a little...
We had a poll.
We had a poll.
Live poll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're insiders, so that,
Yeah.
all right.
I can give a couple examples.
Please do.
To go off what Rachel was saying, Planned Parenthood, we when we had our first Pink Out Day, which was a real rallying cry for around Planned Parenthood when they were being attacked in 2015. What we did is we had a digital wall that was everyone who was tagging their tweets and Instagram posts with Pink Out. And on mobile, what we did is we asked folks to send in their Pink Out pictures. So we got well over 1,000 photos, including men wearing pink high heels. We got, it was also National Coffee Day, so we got photos of a woman with pink lipstick on her coffee cup. We got lots of family photos of everyone wearing pink. So it was really wonderful to engage them on that medium on mobile when they were out and about. And then another good example of fundraising example for you is that every year since I was at Planned Parenthood, we did this tactic, which actually Hillary Clinton during her campaign stole from us. I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, I can tell. Yes, we can see that. You're not.
The other HRC.
Yeah.
The other HRC.
Right.
So what we did is around year end, it's holiday time. So we would send a message to our list, and we'd say, Cecile Richards wants to wish you a happy holidays and has a special greeting for you. Text here. And you'll hear that greeting. And so they would immediately get a phone call with an audio recording from Cecile. Think of it as a new age robocall, right? With her wishing them a happy holidays, and then with an ask tied into it, saying we would love your support this holiday season. And then once the message ended, they got a text message with a link to give. And we saw really great results with that, and then with follow-up texts over year end. And so there's lots of ways that you can utilize the platform for engagement.
Yeah, so who wouldn't love to hear from the CEO
Right?
of an organization that
They love.
doesn't have to be Planned Parenthood?
Yeah,
It's an
exactly.
organization
And a lot of
you're
folks,
supporting.
every town has
Who
done
wouldn't?
it with celebrities that are supporters. So
Yep.
they've done recordings from Julianne Moore and other folks who are some of their higher up supporters. So it works, and it's something that you can do on mobile, and that folks really respond to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Taylor.
I
anything
just
you
best practices. I mean, just a quick one. Communications should be regular, varied, and two-way. So you should be
Regular, varied, and two-way.
regular, varied, two-way communications.
Okay.
That's the name of the game. Regular as in that we need to be reaching out to them fairly regularly. We don't want to leave them stranded for 2 months.
Someone in another panel said,
Yeah.
otherwise they'll forget that I opted in.
Yeah.
Or
If
Exactly.
I stopped
Right.
texting you after 2 months and I asked you for some money, you'd probably be like, well, no, I'm not giving you any money. So you got to keep that relationship going. Maybe 2 to 4 times a month, maybe once a week. It started to change. Varied. We talked about different kinds of things to promote advocacy fundraising. Really build it into your existing programs and don't leave some stuff out. Really kind of make it diverse, so people aren't always doing the same
your fundraising
thing.
Plan,
Exactly. Don't continue to ask
Sandy.
people for money over text. That's going to look really bad,
Right.
and they're not going to see the value that your organization's bringing.
Exactly.
And then two-way, again, it's a text message. Let's make it personal and let's make it very human and have them respond to us and ask questions and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta leave it there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
That's cool.
Great.
all right. They are Rachel Kottler, digital account manager at Upland Maska, Neill Company, Taylor Dankmyer, mobile strategist for Upland Mobile Messaging, and Sandi Fox, Sandi with an I, founder and principal consultant at Smart as a Fox LLC. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Tony.
And thank you for being with our coverage of 18 NTC, the Nonprofit Technology Conference. This interview is sponsored by Network for Good, easy to use donor management and fundraising software for nonprofits. Thanks so much.